Hey guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. It is extremely windy outside as I'm sitting here doing this voiceover, so hopefully it doesn't interrupt too much, but I wanted to make sure I could get a video uploaded for you guys. But I wanted to talk a little bit today about breaking a blank page, and sometimes it's so challenging when you really don't know what to do on your paper, but you want to do something creative. And I mean, there's really isn't a better way to get started than to just go for it. And even if you're putting a scribble down or a mark, or in this case, some collage, and I'm just using some old magazine sheets and other papers that I have on hand that we've done together with our collage paper creation videos. It just gets you into the movement, into the motion, and hopefully turns into something great. But if not, at least it's an exercise and it gets you out of your comfort zone a little bit. I know in my own life, I love talking about doing things and planning to do things and having really good intentions, and then I sit down and do it or stand up and do it or whatever it is I want to get done. It's really hard to just get started, and sometimes that's really all you have to do. And I didn't love the final result of this, and I could probably revisit it and make corrections and updates, but I really wanted to share it because it was just a day that I was not feeling creative at all. And I just thought to myself, well, I'm just going to put some layers of paint and collage on paper. And so I ended up having a really great time. This isn't going to end up in a museum or something, but it's just a wonderful exercise just to loosen you up, get you warmed up, get the creative juices flowing, even if they won't flow. And so I went in with my first layer of collage and I just piled on some paper, put it down with some matte medium, and then covered it with gesso to knock most of it back. But when I put it down, I really liked the sort of pinky purple papers, and so I took a baby wipe and just kind of took off a little bit of that gesso surface. And so then I grabbed some warmer colors and I wanted to go in with a little bit of a layer of sort of pinks and purples to go along with those pieces of collage paper that I put down. So I almost kind of used it as inspiration. And one of my favorite techniques and my favorite tools even is that stylus, and I love going in with the marks and everything. And then I'm going to continue on with the warm colors and go for the yellows and even cad orange. So I'm holding up each of the paints that I'm using just so you can grab something similar yourself, or if you have the same brand, you'll be able to follow along if you want to and use the same color combos. I use mostly Liquitex tube paints, and also the creative inspirations is actually from Jerry's Artorama. So I get those online. They're very reasonably priced. And they're pretty comparable to the Liquitex. And then I also grabbed a few craft paints that I had on hand and just had a lot of fun with that. So I made a bunch of shapes and I even outlined some of those collage papers I have. So now I'm going in to block in some more color. And on this paper, I really wanted to just kind of go back and forth between warm and cool. Sometimes I mix them together. I might, go for a yellow, for instance, and then go right to a blue or something like that. But for this one, I really tried to be a little bit more focused on sort of grouping my colors together by temperature and working with one at a time. So this is kind of my transition, I think. I did my pinks and purples and yellows and oranges, and now I'm going in with a nice dark brown to add some random shapes around and fill in some areas, just to get a dark value on my page and a little bit more contrast, but also going to add a little bit more collage, and then I'm going to start in with some cooler colors. So my paint here at this point is mostly dry, so I'm going in with some more matte medium And just in case there's wet spots, I'm just kind of going over it gently with my brush to get rid of, or not to spread paint too much, and get it all over the collage piece. At least not until I'm ready to paint over it. But I ended up putting down the papers just in some areas where I had an opportunity. And boy, that wind is going outside. Oh my gosh. We're supposed to be getting like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and it sounds sometimes like it's going to take the house down. So hopefully it's not too loud once I finish doing the processing. I'll try to remove as much as I can. But you can enjoy this stormy night with me. Good old Midwest wind. So now I'm going in with my cool colors. And I'm tracing around those original round shapes, and I filled in some of my little circles and added some lines, and I'm just sort of loosely putting together a little bit of a diagonal composition here. But, you know, like I said, this is really just play and a way to kind of break out of that blank page and that, you know, I can't do this mentality, and, you know, I'm not in the mood, or I don't feel creative, because sometimes it just comes. And some of my most favorite paintings I've ever made have been paintings that I've done when I sat down and didn't really feel like it. And it's amazing how that changes as you go, just loosening up. And it's one of the beautiful things about paint and art in general is you can always cover it up with a new layer. So if you put down something you're not happy with, there's never it's not too late ever to go back and change it or fix it or take another look the next day. And at the very least, you can always use it as collage paper, so it's never a waste or a loss. So I think for this one, probably the least favorite thing that I added was actually those lines. I just was wanting to put something else down there, and there they went. But I thought that, you know, since I was trying to kind of focus a bit on those round shapes as kind of a focal area, I think the lines just really, I mean, they literally covered every single round shape. So I kind of took away my own focal point, but I end up going back in a little bit later and kind of bringing those back out. As I'm painting here, I remember thinking to myself, ugh, I don't like these very much, but it's too late now. So I will go back and fix them, but I also want to calm down bits of that background, and I'm going to, you know, really cool down the painting, and then I'm going to go back in also with some more white and just knock back some of those other outside areas a bit. So I'm using my silicone spreader, the little tool, the modeling tool, what do they call it? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. But I like using that sometimes on backgrounds because you can really spread it thin, almost like a glaze. And so your background can still show through a little bit, but a lot of that sort of in your face busy texture can be gotten rid of. So here I am going back in and going around with my paintbrush with some warm color again to bring those back in. And I'm sort of fixing up those round shapes. So you can see a lot of those lines have kind of faded into the background. And what is left, just sort of bringing it into the round shapes rather than having them, you know, sort of look like something sitting on top of the painting. So I almost tried to give them a little bit of a 3D look, like they're coming out of the circles. But then I went ahead and finished it up after some dots, and I'll go ahead and give you the close-up here. But this ended up being a really fun painting to make, and I'm really glad that I'm sharing it with you, and hopefully it will give you some ideas or inspiration, or just keep me company while you do a project of your own. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, and keep creating.